Welcome to Holy Voices, where timeless truth meets your present journey. If you are here, it is not by accident. Your spirit was led to this place for a reason. Every word you will hear carries light, strength, and direction for your path. Stay with us, and let this message unlock the wisdom waiting inside you. As you bless Holy Voices, God blesses your house. Sop $20 or more today and expect His favor. Your world didn't suddenly shift when the screenshots began to pour in, chosen ones. It burst into 1,000 pieces of truth that were constantly awaiting disclosure. According to psychological research, the system conducts coordinated attacks meant to cause you to doubt your own reality whenever a selected individual threatens the status quo simply by existing. As of right now, they continue to construct their version of history, claiming to be able to alter the very cosmic order. However, this is what they failed to account for. You were never merely another individual to be kept silent. Your sheer presence destroys their meticulously crafted illusions more quickly than they can reassemble them, making you a walking prophecy. What I'm going to tell you will demonstrate why they specifically targeted you with such savage accuracy and how their desperate attacks have already set off the series of events that will ultimately lead to their total demise. You are like lightning in a bottle. Despite their best efforts, they were only able to guarantee that the eventual explosion would be seen throughout the sky. A deluge of screenshots arrived. Rumors that spread like wildfire through group discussions. Nasty lies that are expertly designed. All because you dared to speak truth into a world that is based on lies. The instant you refused to submit to their story, your years of true friendship seemed to vanish in an instant. They were busy creating their version of reality in their virtual war chambers with the desperation of those who know their time is running out, while you stayed at home and processed the betrayal with the dignity of someone who understands their worth. However, this is the first jigsaw piece they wanted you to ignore. Records on phones don't lie. The true story is revealed via location data. Their real talks can be seen in saved messages. Their false story is being buried further and deeper every day as more and more witnesses come forward with the truth, creating an avalanche of facts. Justice has not been postponed. This is justice that was planned by powers they were unaware of. Forces that have been keeping tabs on you, waiting, and recording whatever they do to you. They acted like hunters who had mastered their game, thinking that their knowledge of past victims would ensure your demise. However, they made a crucial error in judgment. They believed that you were descended from the same people as your predecessors. They had become accustomed to an attack strategy that worked on regular individuals. People who would break under social pressure, who feared loneliness, and who wanted acceptance. They were confident because they had won against spirits that had not yet realized who they really were. However, you were never normal, and an immovable force that they believed they could shatter was about to confront their tried and true ways. Long before you were aware of their presence, they had been observing you. Examining your habits, assessing your power, and figuring out when your presence will be too bothersome to ignore. The instant your inner strength emerged as something not based on their foundations, the moment your inner light started to shine without their consent. Although they misjudged the type of mountain you are, they marked you with the kind of methodical pressure meant to cause mountains to fall rather than with words or overt threats. Where there shouldn't have been obstacles, there were. As soon as you grabbed for opportunities, they disappeared. Strange stories that seemed almost scripted started to be repeated by people you trusted. They put your patience to the test like researchers examining a specimen, anticipating the moment when their calculated resistance would cause you to collapse. However, each test just turned up unexpected results. You were not circumstantial in your strength. It was essential, ingrained in your entire identity. Every attempt to shatter you turned into a new endurance lesson. Your brilliance was demonstrated by every shadow they cast on you. Since truth has a habit of coming to the surface like oil on water, their initial strategy, a frontal attack on your reputation, failed. They therefore adopted a different strategy, one that was far more subtle. Their purpose was to make you doubt your own abilities, not to harm you. The actual war started here. Not in the open ring of lies and rumors, but in the inner ring of your own mind. They had no swords when they came. They brought poisoned honey, which was consoling but subtly destructive. They defined knowledge as submission, Peace is the absence of your true might, and balance is surrender. Their utterances possessed the mesmerizing quality of those who had persuaded innumerable others to rest in the shallow graves of their own lowered hopes. They believed you would never notice the patterns, but you started to. The way some people would show up in your life right as you were starting to pick up steam, saying encouraging things that left you exhausted. The manner in which chances would be presented to you and then abruptly taken away by events that appeared to be fortuitous yet happened suspiciously frequently. The way your energy would be dispersed by meticulously planned drama that diverted your mind in 17 different areas, preventing you from concentrating on your actual goals since you were too busy with crises. They had used distraction as a weapon, transforming your own empathy and sense of duty into bonds that kept you working toward their goals. However, you had something that they had never seen before. The capacity to stand in the middle of an illusion and see through it. You knew what they were most afraid of. A power that was unbreakable, unborrowable, and unbuyable. A force that existed without their consent and functioned without their comprehension. You never asked for approval to be who you were. Systems created by people who were afraid of your standing were never intended for you to bow down to. They made the error that would prove to be their downfall when they recognized that they could not control you and when their deceptive tactics were unable to turn you against yourself. They became desperate. Desperate people also make loud, obvious, evidence-leaving, and witness-generating actions. Where they previously strutted, they now stumble. Where they once advanced, they now retreat. They talk about endings as though they still have the pen in their hands, as though they might still write your destiny. But by just refusing to shrink to your own size, you have already completely changed the story, not with words or intentions. The full extent of their anxiety became apparent during the second wave of their attack. Now, the mention of your name makes them shudder. Your very presence is evidence that their entire worldview is based on sand, not because you have harmed them. You navigate their meticulously crafted illusions like a natural force navigating a deck of cards. And as you get close, every structure they put in place to keep people out collapses. They mutter that you must be stopped, that you are harmful, and that the natural order is under peril because of your influence. But pay attention to the periodicity that lies underlying what they say. Does a mountain give a damn about the grumblings of little stones? Does the shoreline dictate that the ocean should retreat? Their opposition does not prove that you are at fault. It's proof that your power is real and functioning just as intended. You can sense their pressure on you. They try to persuade you that you are not who you know yourself to be by tearing at your foundation with ever-increasing urgency. They infuse every area around you with uncertainty, anxiety, and subtly manipulative tactics meant to get you to falter when you are at your strongest. However, doubt is a luxury of individuals who continue to look to systems that were never intended to value them for approval. And as soon as you realized who you really are, you quit trying to win that approval. Their opposition has turned into your affirmation. You were never unimportant. If you were, they wouldn't congregate in the dark to talk about you. If they didn't firmly believe that you had the power to destroy everything they have spent their entire lives creating, they wouldn't band together against you. So let them be afraid, let them plot, let them wear themselves out, pleading with the world to keep you quiet until your full power is activated. It's too late already. However, this is when the story takes a surprising turn. Their fear is more than a feeling. They have placed a crown on your head without your knowledge. Each synchronized assault. Every hushed caution over your power. The cosmos has only been informed that something important is taking place here by every last frantic effort to dim your light. They have unintentionally become your messengers, telling everyone who can see and hear how important you are. They couldn't have predicted the depth of the irony. They were the very mechanism that amplified your signal over all relevant frequencies in their desperate attempt to stop you. The extent of what they were truly attempting to contain was made clear by their fixation with keeping you under control. Similar to astronomers who find a new star by observing the effects of its gravity on the surrounding objects. People started to realize how important you were, not because of what you said or did, but because of the enormous lengths they went to in order to oppose you. Their opposition turned into your marketing. Their worry turned into your qualifications. Their well-planned assaults served as your evidence of legitimacy. You didn't need their approval to rise in a world that was desperate for something genuine. What frightens them to no end is that realization. Instead of using physical strength to preserve their dominance, they did it by meticulously crafting illusions. They made masks out of stolen dignity and encased themselves in lies so densely that they started to think their own lies were true. However, you were always aware of their strategy. You saw the fissures appear as their own inconsistencies weighed them down. Notice how their voices faltered when confronted with realities that contradicted their narratives. Their whole rule was based on borrowed time, stolen credibility, and the belief that no one would ever have the foresight to see their lies and the guts to oppose them. However, you did both. Long before they understood they were disintegrating from the inside out, you were able to see past their outward performance and identify the cracks in their armor. What retaliation could never do, the weight of truth is now doing. It is destroying the very underpinnings they believe to be unbreakable, eroding them from the inside out. They are deconstructing themselves, therefore you don't need a weapon to do it. They fall apart on their own, ruined by the very plans they used to harm other people. When pressed, their whispers become stammering. When put to the test, their threats turn into hollow echoes. They talk about order, yet pandemonium is right behind them. They assert wisdom, but their words and deeds are constantly at odds. And you simply have to observe as their meticulously constructed empire falls apart under the weight of its own contradictions, standing unfazed in the middle of their collapse. They made an effort to bury you beneath their delusions, silence you, and delete you. However, your deeds were never the cause of their demise. It was their own conceit that ensured it. The truth is uncompromising. It makes no concessions. It resists coercion, bribery, and threats. The slow and unrelenting existence of truth gradually dismantles all fictitious structures until only reality is left. And the living manifestation of that truth that they have been working so hard to bury is you, chosen one. At this point, you start to realize that you were never fighting for your life. You witnessed their struggle against fate. The world's foundations tremble with the rage of the awakened masses. Their rage is not an arbitrary feeling. It's a wildfire that was started by seeing how outrageous what was done to you was. They can clearly observe what transpired. And when corruption attacks innocence, their anger turns into a mirror reflecting the cosmic imbalance. They are motivated by more than just sympathy. This is the innate understanding of a divine truth that reverberates deep within the human psyche. You are the pivot that justice revolves around. Dark powers don't just hurt one person when they attack you. They put into question existence's basic order. The public's indignation is neither an exaggeration nor a coincidence. It's the cosmos uniting, a collective cries that reverberate through the ages, calling for equilibrium to be restored. They are angry because they are certain, beyond reason, that to wrong you is to upset the very equilibrium of the cosmos. Think about how this manifests itself in the contemporary world. The world doesn't remain silent when the weight of corruption crushes innocence and when the real silence is replaced by the fake. Once uncovered, a single act of injustice can ignite a wave of public anger that spreads more quickly than any well-planned deception effort. The evil forces thought their carefully constructed narratives would dictate the response, thus they misjudged the power of true human outrage. However, human beings have an innate sense of truth that penetrates deception like light penetrates darkness. They rise not only for you but also for the ideal you stand for. They spot the patterns, see through the lies, and spot the theft of light. Their rage, a weapon forged in the furnace of our common humanity, is aimed precisely at those who have the audacity to disturb the natural order. The dark forces who believe they could attack you without consequence are learning that they are waking up to something much bigger than themselves because you are the center of this storm of justice. Here, the unwavering power of cosmic justice collides with their meticulously planned strategies. No amount of deception can stop the collective will of people who will not tolerate injustice from becoming a tsunami. Your shield is their rage. You use their voices as a weapon. Together, you are destroying the darkness one fragment at a time until light triumphs over the once dominant environment. However, this is the unexpected turn of events. It's not simply about protecting you in this awakening. It's about understanding what you stand for. You are evidence of the deadly weaknesses in their control system. That a simple truth expressed by someone who will not be silenced can topple their empire of deception. Not everyone is upset about what happened to you. They are motivated by your response, your steadfastness, and your refusal to give in to pressure from those around you. The collective psyche is undergoing a transformation never seen before. Your example is inspiring people who have never met you to take action in their own lives. They are refusing to accept manipulations that they would have in the past. They are challenging stories they would have taken at face value. In their personal experiences, they're identifying control patterns that they previously wrote off as coincidental. You have allowed others to cease crumbling under their pressure by refusing to do so yourself. Your resistance is impacting lives and changing perspectives in ways that make their attack on you appear like the pebble that triggered an avalanche of consciousness. These waves of awakening are spreading far beyond the initial fight. With deliberate precision, the evil forces move. Their plans are spun like elaborate webs to ensnare and eliminate any danger to their supremacy. However, each and every attack they make breaks through an imperceptible barrier. Something more bigger than their evil could ever imagine. Something that is beyond their comprehension is protecting you. We are building a family of light, 40,000 voices strong. Your subscription makes you part of it. A heavenly armor that turns their weapons into tools for their own demise. They encounter unfathomable resistance to every tactic they use and every plan they carry out with such assurance. They are oblivious to a basic reality because of their conceit. You are not the only one they are battling. They are up against powers that have been around since the beginning of time. Abilities that distort reality itself to safeguard those selected to bring light into shadowy areas. They didn't fail by mistake. It is unavoidable. The fact that your kind of light is stronger than theirs is woven into the very fabric of life. Their malicious intent becomes evidence of your invincibility. They are caught in their traps. Their lies fall apart more quickly than they can construct fresh ones. When they come into contact with the immovable object of your true power, their strength wanes. The evil forces think they are planning your destruction. In actuality, though, they are following a screenplay that was created by intelligence that is considerably better to their own. These performers believe they are in charge of the performance, but they are unaware that every word they say and every gesture they make has a purpose they cannot comprehend. Instead of destroying, their deeds show how pointless their fight against the cosmic order was. Every unsuccessful endeavor turns into a public display of heavenly protection in action. A reminder to everyone observing that your power is eternal and theirs is transient. They're not merely battling you. They are battling the laws of existence itself, and existence always prevails by definition. At this point, your story turns into a victory and theirs into a tragedy. You made the decision to become the tool of universal justice, while they made the decision to stand in opposition to it. There was never any dispute about the result. The only thing left to right was how they were defeated. The venomous dark forces struck. Their harsh and savage intents are meant to shatter you into tiny fragments that they can easily remove and forget. However, they were essentially unaware that their attacks would never be your demise. They were the start of you. Every strike they made and every injury they caused turned into raw material in the furnace that created your actual strength. You were refined by pain, not destroyed by it. Every hardship they planned served as a springboard, bringing you closer to realizing your full potential. In the hands of cosmic intelligence, their malice turned into a tool that shaped you into something they could never understand or manipulate. You didn't just make it through their assaults. You went beyond them completely. In their view, your reaction to their attacks was not defiance. It was enlightening. They found resilience that seemed to have no bottom where they had anticipated to find despair. Where they expected collapse, they saw change that went against all the rules they believed to govern human nature. Your poise under duress was more than just human fortitude. It was the manifestation of divine force in human form. In reality, the evil forces were exposing you, even if they thought they were shattering you. Every falsehood you resisted and every attack you withstood proved to be indisputable evidence of the power within you. Your voice was amplified till it could be heard across dimensions despite their best efforts to hush it. Their efforts to suppress your truth merely sowed seeds that eventually blossomed into waking forests. What they meant to hurt turned into a platform for your true self to be shown by everyone. The alchemy of chosen existence is this. Pain became strength. Pain was transformed into power. Persecution turned into a mission. Their deeds were never really their own, but the evil powers are unable to see it. They were tools in such a wide design that their comprehension resembles a candle flame attempting to comprehend the sun. Your struggles weren't merely arbitrary conflicts. They were actual predictions coming to pass. The scars they left behind were badges of success rather than signs of defeat. Evidence that you confronted the darkness and came out stronger than before, not simply intact. Your entire journey has been transformed into a living testament, lit by the light of transcendence and recorded in the language of endurance. With the haughtiness of players who think they own every piece on the board, they moved. Like malicious laser beams, their plans are laser-focused and their tactics are razor-sharp. However, they failed to see the essential reality. They never played this game in the first place. Every attack they launched and every plan they meticulously planned out turned out to be a play on a spiritual chessboard with rules they were unaware existed. Only the immediate, material, and superficial level of cause and consequence are visible to them. What they fail to see is that every countermove is guided by divine intelligence, which turns their aggression into opportunity and their hate into momentum for your progress. Their schemes are not simply foiled. They are recycled and weaved into a wonderful design that dwarfs their comprehension, just like a mountain range is dwarfed by an anthill. In their game, you were never pawn. You are the focal point of a cosmic plan. Additionally, every action they took against you improved your standing on the board. You erupt from their attempts, reborn in flames they cannot resist, like the phoenix rising from ashes. They thought they were wiping you out, but in reality, they were paving the way for your rise to heights they had no idea were conceivable. Their fires purify rather than consume. Your essence is not scattered by their disarray. It strengthens your position of authority. What they meant to be destruction ends up serving as the impetus for change that surpasses their worst fears. You come out not only unharmed but also stronger. Your flame is now burning much brighter. Your goal is more obvious than crystal. Hello, this is Mike and Ari interrupting your regularly scheduled show for a brief minute. We're done playing nice. We're the founders of the Astral Atom Network and the Holy Voices Inner Order. Our battle is a spiritual one. You are aware of it. We are aware of it. And we are dedicated to this mission full-time. We need the ammunition, but I'm craving the blood of a fourth-dimensional archon. So pay attention. Joining the Inner Order is more than merely helping us. They never intended for you to have access to these special tools. Training in psychic self-defense, focused personal intelligence, and spiritual warfare techniques they scrape from the internet. And we only meet with selected individuals on Zoom once a week in secret. Real Nazis, real family, and real power, no filters or filler. It's a complete victory. You receive what you need, Rango. We are allowed to continue fighting. So instead of just watching, give this video a like and tell everyone you know about it. Now. Join the Inner Order of Holy Voices. Let's complete the task at hand. The description contains a link. Let's go crazy. They make linear, predictable moves as if they were playing checkers. However, you are playing a multidimensional game of chess in which spirit, time, and space all come together in ways that make their tactics appear like kid-friendly pastimes. Your ally is the universe itself. Its laws bend to your advantage in ways they are unable to recognize or counter. Their every action has been expected. Every tactic they use has already been thwarted. They're not merely battling you. They are struggling against life itself. Furthermore, the laws of existence ensure their defeat. Their conceit will lead to their demise, blindness, and ruin. This game was created to guarantee your win from the first move because you are the one who was selected. They flourish on response, consuming the turmoil of your rage like parasites and become more powerful as a result of your acceptance of their provocations. However, they start to starve in unexpected ways when you deny them the emotional feast they need to survive and deprive them of what they need. Their weapons were designed for disputes, noise, and the never-ending cycle of provocation and reaction that sustains their system. However, you present them with something they are unable to comprehend. Nothing. No rage to consume, no despair to take advantage of, and no indication that their presence matters in your world. And the force that destroys them is that lack of response. They suffocate in their own insignificance, much like fire without air. Silence is not a sign of weakness. It is the most unadulterated manifestation of control. It's the silent declaration that you are not subject to powers that function below your conscious level. They are now forced to compete against themselves in a deserted arena since you have completely outclassed them. In an attempt to shatter what they can't move, they push harder. They push every limit they can think of, frantically looking for the gap where your poise will break and allow them the opportunity they require. However, your mere presence is now sufficient to bring down their entire enterprise. You can be heard across dimensions without shouting. To make an impact that changes reality, you don't have to hit. Authentically powerful people don't require spectacle. Beyond the petty games and the frantic grab of people who plead for recognition from systems that were never intended to value them, they exist. The evil forces are confronted with nothing but their own emptiness reflected back at them like a mirror, revealing exactly what they have become, when they lash out in their last desperate attempt to find any answer that would legitimize their relevance. With its tremendous depth, your silence drowns out all of their commotion, making it the loudest sound in their cosmos. However, this quiet isn't meaningless. It has a lot of power. Like water behind a dam, it is full of potential energy that creates pressure. They see your silence as a sign of weakness. Your self-control for losing, not understanding that you had outperformed them in the whole game. You are no longer acting on frequencies they can sense or following laws they comprehend. You are pulling energy from the water and building up your strength like a storm system while others exhaust themselves with ever more desperate theatrical displays. It's not retreat when you pull away from their pandemonium. It's the tactical shifting of a person who has realized that the actual conflict takes place on a whole separate plane of reality. While you are turning into light itself, they are battling shadows. You are becoming the stillness that speaks louder than their loudest declarations, while they are creating noise. They demonstrate how entirely they rely on your involvement for their survival in their desperate attempts to entice you back into their arena. You were never intended to walk in other people's footsteps. With the sheer power of your true will, you were created to destroy, redefine, and recreate existence itself. Your path wasn't blocked by any of the difficulties, betrayals, or battles you faced. You were formed into the transformational tool you were always destined to be by the fire. They made every effort to silence you, to destroy you, to make you doubt the source of your power. However, all they managed to do was hone your edge to the point where it could pierce the illusions they believed to be impenetrable. The burden you bore and the pain you endured were never only for your personal growth. It was the start of something bigger, a disturbance of their order so total that it could not be reversed. You now stand on the cusp of history as the creator of what will happen next, rather than as a byproduct of their damaged reality. Your ascent isn't a given. It's already taking place. They are aware of it. And they took such drastic actions because of that knowing. They spent all of their energy attempting to limit what has no boundaries and contain what cannot be contained. However, the decision was reached prior to the initial action. You are well aware of who you are here. You have exposed every aspect of their dishonesty. As you bless holy voices, God blesses your house. Sell $20 or more today and expect His favor. Your presence, your voice, your truth, and your very being working at full capacity will now have an impact on the world. Reality itself is rewritten in this way. The conflict they believed they were engaged in never materialized. All that existed was the inescapable realization of who you are, postponed by their frantic efforts to stop the inevitable. You did not accomplish your victory. You are that thing. It is not you who created your power. You recalled something about it. It's not that you found your purpose. You finally come out of hiding from it. Even their most ardent supporters are unable to deny the obvious image that has been created by phone records, location information, stored texts, and the mounting chorus of witnesses. The friends they betrayed have realized that a well-constructed story has been manipulated, exposing them in ways they never would have thought imaginable. You emerge like the dawn after the longest night in human history, while they stand now in the wreckage of their own creation. Your greatest strength has been your silence throughout their most vociferous attacks. Your ability to tolerate their most heinous outbursts has turned into your most potent weapon. Your ability to persevere through every hardship has led to your greatest triumph. They have been hit with compound force by every onslaught they have launched. They have turned every trap they lay into a prison of their own. All of their lies have turned into proof of their dishonesty. The world now perceives you for who you really are. It was a power that was momentarily cloaked as a person who might be shattered, not a victim who lived. The most profound truth, however, completes the circle. There was never any threat to you. The ominous-seeming pictures were but the prelude to a symphony that would inevitably conclude with their defeat. A system that realized its time was running out was just in the last stages of a series of coordinated attacks that seemed so overwhelming. When the final struggle started, the betrayals that appeared to be so terrible were simply the removal of everything that wasn't strong enough to stand alongside truth. What they saw as your weakness was actually your disguised invincibility. Your strength was functioning at frequencies they were unable to detect, which is what they mistakenly believed to be your weakness. The old guard realizes that their time is running out and makes a last-ditch effort to keep power, a situation that the chosen ones have faced throughout history. However, stopping you was never the main goal of this struggle. The goal was to make you realize how big of a person you are. You weren't intended to be destroyed by their attacks. Their purpose was to shape you into the unstoppable power you were destined to be. To remind themselves that they are composed of something that cannot burn, each selected person must walk through the fire. Now is your time. Now is your moment. This is the result of everything you have gone through, everything you have managed to survive, and everything you have turned into strength. The powers that attempted to harm you have merely succeeded in exposing your true nature. You are more than just a person who survived their assaults. You are the living example of how their whole system was constructed on shaky foundations that were never able to withstand the weight of real power. They thought they could silence a voice at the start of your story. In the end, that voice transforms into a frequency that reverberates throughout dimensions, waking up all the other chosen individuals who were awaiting authorization to recall their identity. Although the circle is finished, it is not a conclusion. When someone who was never supposed to kneel eventually stands up straight, this is the beginning of what happens. An innocent individual was attacked. They unleashed powers they were unaware of in the process. The hurricane that changes everything is the storm they caused. You are standing in the hurricane's eye, chosen one. Perfectly composed, flawlessly clear, and prepared to enter the world they can no longer govern. From the start, the game was rigged to your advantage. If this message touched your heart, don't leave without spreading the light. Click like so this wisdom can reach more souls searching for truth. Subscribe to Holy Voices so you never miss the next divine word prepared for you. And write your thoughts in the comments, your voice matters here. Until next time, keep walking in faith, keep growing in wisdom, and remember, the journey of the wise never ends.